Alexander Lechetsky and Oliver Warren. So that was heat 1 of the juniors. This is round 2, which is heat 1 for the Rotax and the Masters. So we've got about 18 karts, so slightly less on track. Slightly less karts on track. Maybe we had a few late entries because it is up near the 22 driver line now, which is terrific. That's what we want to see. So again, similar system. They will put in a couple of practice laps, half laps, sorry. And then our marshals will guide them back around. So we've got Chris Abraham, Neil Hemming, Ben Hicks, Archie Elliott, Gary Cox, Sophie Jeffrey, Don de Graaf, Kieran Thompson, Billy Clark, Carl Churchill, Dennis Gigiak, Samuel Cook, Jason Gardner, Scott Collins, Oliver Hutchins, Matt Angus, Colin Davis, one to look out for Colin, Paul Horton, Seaman Trainall, and Patrick Williams Raha. So those guys make up the 177 Rotax and Masters. 37th, just having Billy Clark, just finds himself on the grass but is able to get back on, and that's the time to do it. If you're going to get a spin in, you're going to test early, now's the time to do it. 71, that's Colin Davis there. The 177 Max and Masters. Okay, here we go then. The guys will line up. They'll come around across the start-finish line, as was the juniors. And we will go off and racing for round 2, which is heat 1 of the 177 as they go through into the Haynes Loop, keeping it nice and clean, nice and tidy, everybody through. That's what we want to see. Into the left-hander of Johnny's. Oh, a couple just cutting the corner there. That was Ben Hicks in the 84 kart as they go down into Winger's Dip. And again, everybody through safely. Targeting that curb as they come through. And it looks like it is the 77 of Chris Abraham. Started near the front, has held on to that at the front as well. So he's leading the way at the moment. As they go up the hill into midgets. Down through Climate. Right-hander, and then into the left Tollies to come across the start and finish line, and then we'll get an idea on where we're at and who's at the front. So a big move there. Don de Graaf, Archie Elliott, Chris Abraham, they take up that front 3. Jason Gardner, Carl Churchill, Neil Hemming, Samuel Cook, they make up the front 5 or 6 at the moment. As they go around Johnny's down into Winger's Dip. Someone just span off camera there. You probably just caught the left-hand side of that as well. We'll try and pick up who that is in a minute. And a couple of karts are just getting rescued at the moment by the driver. Who's got to jump out, grab hold, and bring it back on track. I think we've got Archie Elliott leading the way at the moment. From Don de Graaf, Chris Abraham. Chris started on pole. Just dropped down a tiny bit. So yeah, there we go. That's the 54 kart of Archie Elliott. Don de Graaf in the 15. They come round, cross the start-finish line. Those two lead the way at the moment. All the guys safely over. So yeah, Archie Elliott leading the way, Don de Graaf, Daniel Hammett, Jason Gardner, Carl Churchill. So that's the 54. It's got the SC. So that is the 54. Sorry, I was just checking that. 54 is Archie Elliott. Having a really close race with Don de Graaf over the start-finish line there. Those two pushing out front at the moment. From Daniel Hammett in 3rd, Jason Gardner 4th, Samuel Cook 5th, Carl Churchill 6th, Neil Hemming 7th at the moment, Colin Davis 8th. So that is our runs at the top 10 at the moment. As the guys come through, you can just see the back ends of these karts going out a little bit more than the juniors were earlier on. But it is that 54 there of Archie Elliott out front. He's got the SC plate for the Southern Championship that he won. So that is why it says SC on the screen, and the same with Daniel Hammett. He's also got an SC car, but I think he's in the 84. Currently running in third, so we can pick up that number in a minute when he comes through. But the front two, no messing with these two at the moment. Archie Elliott in the 54, Don de Graaf in the 15. They're the front two. They've got about a 2.5 second lead from third place Daniel Hammett at the moment. And Daniel is carrying the SC plate that you'll see on screen. So even though it says SC on your screen for Archie, he is in that 54 yellow and blue fairing kart there, leading the way at the minute from Don de Graaf with Daniel Hammett in the other SC plate. He's in third position, and that SC stands for the Southern Championship that they've won previously. And they can carry that plate or their registered number, whichever they choose. So we've got about 4 minutes left on this race, and we've got the front two that have stolen a march, as they say. They're out front. They've got their own personal battle here, so whether Don de Graaf will just sit in and try and follow, or these two will just look to pull away for a couple of laps and then put it to each other to see who's going to take the win. Daniel Hammer's just got a bit of a race on his own at the moment. He's got a bit of a gap. He's about 3 seconds behind the leaders, but then about 3 seconds ahead of Jason Gardner in fourth. So a bit of a lonely drive for him at the moment. But we'll keep a close eye on this battle out the front, because these two have pulled away. They are, again, barring any slip or disaster, going to take first and second in what order we shall wait and see. Daniel Hammer just got that lonely little drive in third, as the Jason Gardner in fourth. Really, they've got a bit of fresh air between the two of them. And the rest of the track just starting to string out a tiny bit. There's a couple of personal little battles going on within, but it is that interesting battle of these two out front at the moment. That is what we will keep our eye on as they come through down into Tolly's, where they'll take the left-hander into what essentially is the start-finish straight, and Don de Graaf has put a move in, but straight back comes Archie Elliott. Gets himself back in the lead. There's Daniel Hammett into third. The 12 of Jason Gardner, 66 of Samuel Cook, 16 of Carl Churchill. That's the top six. And a couple of minutes left on this race as they race down into the Winger's Dip. Right-hander that comes back up the hill through the bus stop. Just keeping a close eye. There we go. As they come through, plenty of curve, plenty of air as they go through and race up to the top into midgets. Don't get that corner wrong, because you head to Andover if you get it wrong. Everybody getting that right at the moment, which is terrific. Into the right-hander, down back towards where we are in the dry. We are the lucky ones in the dry at the moment. And it still is Archie Elliott from Don de Graaf, first and second. But Daniel Hammett, he's not letting them go. He's keeping tabs on that front two, and he's got a bit of a lonely drive there in third. And then we do have a close battle with Samuel Cook moving up into fourth from Jason Gardner and Carl Churchill. Neil Hemming, Colin Davis, Chris Abraham and Paul Horton. They make up the top 10 at the moment. But that battle out front with Archie and Don, they are going at it, which is allowing Daniel maybe just to reel them in, whether there's enough race left for him. And again, the conditions make a big difference. You know, Daniel comfortably in third. He probably doesn't want to throw that away. That's some good points to go towards the end of the day. They bounce their way through. Bounce their way through the pit stop. So yeah, here we go. We've got 24 plus that 1 lap left to go in this race, and it's still Archie Elliott from Don de Graaf, who did have a little bit of a look earlier on. He got up alongside Archie Elliott as they came across the start-finish line. Make their way, and just a little looking on, it is a bit of contact and a spin for Don de Graaf. That is not what he wanted, especially because they had fresh air, the two of them. I think it was of his own making, and unfortunately that has put pay to his second place. He will drop down the order there a little bit, and it will give Archie Elliott fresh air and an unchallenged last lap or so to take the win in this first heat for the 177 Rotax Masters. Plenty of curve there as they come through. So yeah, Don de Graaf, whether he was just looking to make a move or just that little lapse of concentration, but that could well cost him dearly. Certainly going to cost him some points. He'll have a bit more work to do when he moves into his second and third heat. So last lap, through goes Archie Elliott. Now Daniel Hammett moves into that second place, bit of a gift, but Don de Graaf rescued and he's still in third, so that's a great recovery from him to hold on to that third place, that's for sure. Samuel Cook still fourth with Jason Gardner, Carl Churchill, Neil Hemming, Chris Abraham, Colin Davis and Paul, making up the top 10 with Oliver Hutchins and Daniel Truchak just outside that top 10. But we are on the last lap, and it is Archie Elliott's now. He's got 2.5 second lead over Daniel Hammett. And then there's a further 3.5 seconds down to Don de Graaf. So it was a good battle out front between those two, but just going through passing through that Haynes loop, there was just where there was a little bit of contact from Don de Graaf on the back of Archie Elliott, and that cost him. But here we go around the final turn into Tollies across the start finish line. It is a winning heat one with a tap on the steering wheel from Archie Elliott from Daniel Hammett. Bit of a gift in that second place. A good save, to be fair, from Don de Graaf to get himself back on track to keep hold of that third place, with Samuel Cook, Jason Gardner, Carl Churchill, Neil Hemming, Chris Abraham and Colin Davis, who pretty much, and Paul Horton, they pretty much held on to that top 10 for the second half of that race. Very little movement from those guys. And there's Paul Horton. You can see the checkered flags bouncing up. But that was our top 10, and it was a great race. Archie Elliott and Don de Graaf gave us something to really enjoy there for the vast majority of that race before that incident going through the Haynes loop. So there you go, Archie Elliott, Daniel Hammett and Don de Graaf. They made up the top 3. They'll be the top point scorers in that. And then Samuel Cook, Jason Gardner, Carl Churchill, Neil Hemming, Chris Abraham, Paul Davis, Oliver Hutchins, Dennis Treshak, Scott Collins, Patrick Williams-Raha, Matt Angus, Ben Hicks, Gary Cox, Sophie Jeffrey, Billy Clark, Simon Trainall. That was our finishing order. So that was heat 1 of the Rotax Masters. So what we'll try and do is just give you a little bit of a replay. So there's the front 2, and they went at it for the full race, to be fair. Nice bit of movement there out front from Archie Elliott. That back wheel out a little bit. And they were pushing for the entirety of that race, and when you are pushing, that is when incidents can happen. That's when Don de Graaf just came through Tollies and got himself up into the lead just for half of that home straight before Archie Elliott got him back and got himself back. So there was a little bit of movement between the two. They did have a good battle out front, that's for sure. It's that good, we're going to watch it twice. There we go, back up, a little bit of body movement just to get a little bit more power. Nice comment, Arthur Way, fan here. Come on, Arthur, he did very well. Really, really nice driving there to move his way up. And again, I'm just trying to manage between what I can see on the screen, what I can see on the track. I don't always want to commentate on what you can't see, but sometimes there is interesting stuff that's not on the screen that our guys, can't pick up everything. If they don't pick it up, I will try and comment. So we move swiftly on, no hanging around. We are straight back out, and I think we are going to see. Just going to refresh Alpha Live, so I'm seeing the same as what we've got on the screen. We've got the 177s with the 177 Rotax and the Masters out in this one. You can just hear me flicking pieces of paper around, I'm sure. So Samuel Cook, Kieran Thompson, Jason Gardner, Carl Churchill, Scott Collins, Matt Angus, Patrick Williams-Raha, Oliver Hutchins, Colin Davis, Gary Cox, and there jumps up Sophie Jeffrey, Ben Hicks, Chris Abraham, Don de Graaf, Paul Horton. As they come across, are we running? We are running, we're off and racing with Jason Gardner. He's out front, he's held that lead coming across the start finish. For the first time, everybody safely through. As they go from Haynes down through Johnny's down into the Windsors dip for the first time. 54 kart there coming through on screen. Race up towards midgets at the top, and again it just takes that first lap for everybody to filter in and get their positions. They come round for the first time. It looks like it still is the 12 of Jason Gardner, from the 66 of Samuel Cook and Carl Churchill in the 16. Bit of movement for Colin Davis there. He comes up, he's into 4th in the 71. Kieran Thompson in the 73. They make out that top 5. But again, the front 3 haven't taken long just to create a bit of a gap between themselves and the rest of the pack. Jason Gardner, Samuel Cook and Carl Churchill. They've got themselves a bit of room, bit of space as they go up the hill through that bus stop and up towards midgets at the top into that right-hander. So just a bit of a gap being created here from the leader. Jason just got himself probably about a second and lead here over second and third Samuel Cook and Kart Churchill. So Jason crosses the line from the 66 of Samuel and then Kai. It's about a second, and there's a bit of a gap back to Ben Hicks in fourth. And he's got a couple of drivers right on his tail in Archie Elliott and Colin Davis. So as they go down into Whingers again. And again, you can just see Jason pulling out a little bit of a gap and a big move there up the inside from Carl on Samuel Cook. Carl Churchill up into second ahead of Samuel Cook. Nice cut back up the inside. Read that really nicely. It moves into second as they race up through the bus stop. Taking in as much curve, getting a bit of air. Carry that speed up into that right-hander at the top. Through midgets, down into Climate where there's another right-hander. Into this right-hander before they'll carry a left. Through Tollies, back across the start-finish line into that next lap, and it is still Jason Gardner out front, just extending that lead a little bit more to a minute and a half from Kart Churchill and Samuel Cook. Archie Elliott up into fourth place from Ben Hicks, Don de Graaf, Colin Davis, Oliver Hutchins, Kieran Thompson and Chris Abraham. They round out our top 10. We're about 3 minutes into this race. You look back through the order, everyone getting safely round, which is great. Your race soon calms down. That's the 14 on screen there, Gary Cox. Your race soon calms down and you're then battling. Nice move there from the 77 car of Chris Abraham up the inside of Gary Cox, I think. They all bounce their way through the bus stop. And you'll see taking a very similar line. It's the 91 car of Simon Trenell. Hope I'm pronouncing that okay. At the back, who's going to get caught very soon as Jason Gardner comes across the start-finish line with about 2 second lead from second place Kart Churchill, then Samuel Cook. Then comes Archie Elliott, Ben Hicks, Don de Graaf, Colin Davis, Oliver Hutchins, Chris Abraham up, Neil Hemming up into that top 10. So they're going to start picking off those Simon Trenell, Matt Angus maybe at the back. They're going to start reaching up to those back markers. Guys racing at the back of the field at the moment. Bouncing through the bus stop there. All through, that's the 16 and the 66. That's the battle for second place there. And I think also somebody, I think they're just overtaking that back marker of the 91 car of Simon Trenell. He's in the mix with these front runners at the moment. Just needs to move out of the way, but tough when the whole field's coming up behind you. And hopefully he'll get that notice just to move over and mind out of the way. So Jason Gardner still leads from college. Archie Elliott's now up into third place. That was the move I saw at the top as they came off of midgets. There's Archie Elliott moving up into that third place spot from Samuel Cook. We look at the race at this moment in time. 3 places Jason Gardner's gained to get up to the front of the pack. 4 places for Kart Churchill. 13 for Archie Elliott. He's done really well as he started down near the middle towards the rear of the grid. He's moved up 13 places. Samuel Cook's lost about 3 spaces from his starting position on the front of the grid. But it is Jason Gardner who crosses that start-finish line there. From the 54 of Archie Elliott up into second place from Kart Churchill. So Archie Elliott is moving his way up through that field. Has now got himself up into second place, 14 places gained, and not far off of that in fifth place is Don de Graaf, also with a novice plate, gained 14 places. Wearing that novice plate today, that's good going. Keeping an eye there on Archie Elliott in second place, Kart Churchill in third, Samuel Cook in fourth. That's the 16 of Kart Churchill there, trying to chase back towards Archie Elliott. But just keeping an eye on these guys as they come around for the first time. I'll tell you what, 54 of Archie Elliott has got up into the lead, so we've lost. I'll look down the order to see what's going on there. Kart Churchill second, Samuel Cook third, Don de Graaf now is up into that fourth. Ben Hicks in the fifth place car. Jason Gardner Again, I'm not sure if that was on screen or not. You might have caught that if I was looking over the screen onto the track. But Archie Elliott has moved his way all the way up into first place here. Great show, 15 places, over half the field overtaken to get himself up into that lead from Carl Churchill, Samuel Cook, as those guys go through the screen there. So there's not much to choose between the front 3 or 4 as we are going to get 2 more laps out of this. They'll cross the line with about 20 seconds to go. So 2 laps to go on this race with Archie Elliott out front from the 16 of Carl Churchill, 15 of Don de Graaf up into 3rd from the 66 of Samuel Cook and the 84 car of Ben Hicks. That's the top 5. Jason Gardner is out. We've lost Jason. And again, you might have caught that on screen if I was looking over the top of the screen. I apologise if I missed that one. But what it does mean is Archie Elliott has that lead. Is out front from Carl Churchill, Don de Graaf, Samuel Cook. We will get the last lap board when Archie Elliott comes across the start-finish line for what will be the last time before he sees that checkered flag. So the front 2, we've got a race on. There's a small gap there between 3rd, 4th and 5th, but we have a race out front. There's Archie Elliott and someone span just as the leaders were coming in. That was the 24 kart there spinning of Matt Angus, literally as the leaders were coming into Tolly's for the last time. And now we have a back marker in amongst this little backpack here battling for the lead, which is Archie Elliott from Carl Churchill, from Don de Graaf, Samuel Cook, Ben Hicks, Oliver Hutchins. A bit more grass tracking as someone went down there from Johnny's into the Whingers dip. We can see Archie Elliott on screen now. He's got that lead. Got about a second, I would say, from 2nd place. Carl Churchill, Don de Graaf, Samuel Cook chasing hard afterwards. But it's all calmed down a little bit for 1st and 2nd. Archie Elliott circumnavigates the last 2 turns into Tolly's start and finish line to get the checkered flag, to take the race win, overtaken over half the field. A great effort there from Don de Graaf, who's done the same. Don de Graaf has also gained about 15 or 16, 17 places actually to get himself up into 2nd place. Great going there from Don de Graaf. Carl Churchill takes 3rd spot from Samuel Cook, Ben Hicks, Oliver Hutchins, Colin Davis, Neil Hemming, Daniel Hemmett and Chris Abraham. They round out the top 10. Again, plenty of movement at the front of that order and some massive gains there. Neil Hemming and Daniel Hammett down in 9th and 10th, but they gained 11 places respectively to get themselves up into that top kind of 10 position and have done extremely well. But it was a win for Archie Elliott, did extremely well. We lost Jason Gardner. I don't know if you saw that on screen. I apologise if I missed that. Maybe we picked it up on replay. So plenty of battling, plenty of movement there as the karts were circumnavigating that first lap or so just to try and get themselves into position. There's our activity as the 177 Rotax Masters get ready to come out, and here they come. And we're going to see on the front of the grid in this one Paul Horton in the 68, and then Patrick Williams-Raha, Oliver Hutchins, Dennis Trishak, excuse me, Don de Graaf, he's on the grass already, Don de Graaf, Colin Davis, Matt Angus, Daniel Hammer, Archie Elliott, Scott Collins, Seaman Trenor, Neil Hemming, Sophie Jeffrey, Chris Abraham, Carl Churchill, Jason Gardner, Billy Clark, Ben Hicks, Samuel Cook, Gary Cox and Kieran Thompson. They will make up the, we should have 21, we've got 20 on track at the moment. Ah, there we go, Kieran Thompson. Brilliant, so we've got all 21 out. Heat 2, it's won by Archie Elliott. Archie Elliott finds himself starting down in 8th. The first heat was Archie Elliott again. Daniel Hammett and Don de Graaf as well. So let's see what you can do from the middle of that order. Drivers starting to announce themselves because of the heat results they've had in the preceding heats. Let's see how this develops. As the guys come, are we ready to go? Yes, we are, and we are racing, and it's a great start from Paul Horton. He's taken advantage of that position he was in at the front of the grid. He's got around Haynes Loop nice and cleanly. A little move up the inside there though from, I think, Oliver Hutchins has moved up into the lead. He started third on the grid. Looks like he's got himself up into that front space. The 15 of Don de Graaf has got into the mix at the front as well there as well, which is good. The 54 of Archie Elliott, as expected. He's already near the front of that grid. He threw the bus stop everybody up into midgets. Everybody looks safely round. I can't see that anybody's come off at the moment. So as they come round Tollies to me for the first time under the start-finish line, let's give you a running order of who we've got. Yeah, Oliver Hutchins got himself up into the front. Don de Graaf has done very well to move up from 7th to 2nd on the grid. Archie Elliott, again, he's come through the order a little bit. He's got himself up to 3rd. Paul Horton in 4th. Patrick Williams-Raha, he's in the 5th position. He's lost a couple of places. But, you know, that anything can happen on those first couple of laps. Always quite hectic. As they go up again through the bus stop. Down to the front 3, just got a little bit of a gap now from the preceding, the following 3. As they come round, it is going to be, the 29 of Oliver Hutchins from Don de Graaf, Archie Elliott, that's the 3 out front, Paul Horton, Patrick Williams-Raha. Simon Trenor and Jason Gardner, they just move up the order a little bit out of Samuel Cook, so I think Daniel Trishak we have lost somewhere along the way. He's dropped down the order. He was up near there for the front there for a bit, but has now dropped down into that chasing pack behind. There we go. Just a little bit wider for these guys coming through the bus stop. Not so much curb as you'd see in some of the other races. A little bit more of a calculated approach, but that front 3 is still the front 3. It is still Oliver from Don, from Archie. They're the 3 out front. A little bit of a gap, couple of seconds growing to Paul Horton and to Patrick Williams-Raha. Those front 3 are starting to just put a stamp on this one. And they are just starting to pull away. Everybody else is getting around nicely. We don't have any other real battles going on out on track at the moment, so we will concentrate on those front 3 or 4 that are taking the race to us as they go through the pit stop. There's a gap now down to 4th to Paul Horton. There's a couple of seconds. So the front 3 just starting to pull away as they go around midgets down into Climate. Keep it nice and tight through Climate, and they'll drift across the left-hand side of the track, back to the right-hand side of the track, and then left again, tight through onto the start-finish line. Archie Elliott has swapped places with Don de Graaf, so he's up and he's now moved through, caught that Haynes Loop. Up into the lead goes Archie Elliott from Oliver Hutchins and Don de Graaf. But that's still our front 3. Archie has moved his way lap on lap on lap up to the front. He's now got himself out front and looks like he could well be taking this race as well. And there's a bit of contact there further down the racing order from I think Carl Churchill. Just a bit of a strong move going through the Haynes Loop and just pushed somebody off track. And someone's going to have lost a few places because of that. I can see a few spots of rain now on my window, so that's going to be playing into the driver's minds just a little bit as we come through. 3.5 to go plus the lap. Archie Elliott from Don de Graaf, Oliver Hutchins, Paul Horton, Colin Davis in the 5th place, Jason Gardner 6th, Samuel Cook, Ben Hicks, Simon Trenor, Scott Collins and Matt Angus. We've got a yellow flag out, so everyone just down into slow mode. No overtaking for the mode. So there's an issue on track. I don't know what that is, whether that is with Dennis Trishak or not, but the yellows are out for the moment. It looks like it's a full course yellow. I can see the boards out across the board. Just looking to my left, just before the bus stop, I can see a driver stood next to the marshal. Somebody that's come off. So we've still got these yellows out, and it looks like it's full course yellow at the minute. That just means everybody's got to stay in the procession line. No overtaking. So essentially they slow down a bit. You don't have to slow down to snail pace, but you just come off full gas a little bit. So it means those 4 out front, Archie Elliott, Don de Graaf, Oliver Hutchins, Paul Horton, Colin Davis, Jason Gardner, that's as we are for the minute. We've got 2.5 minutes to go plus the lap. So hopefully the yellows will disappear in a minute. There must be something going on behind me out of my view that I can't quite see. Yeah, there's a couple of drivers over on the left there, which is a real shame. I'll just have a scan at the live time, and I can see that Matt Angus is out. But there are 2 drivers over there, so somebody else has joined. We're still on yellow. We're going back to green as they come over the start-finish line. So we are race on with a couple of minutes to go plus the lap. And what this has done is condensed the field a little bit. So it is a case now of watch. And someone's just lost out massively going around the Haynes Loop. Archie Elliott is still out front from Don de Graaf. Oliver Hutchins in 3rd. And I think Paul Horton now is on the back wheel. So he's on that front 4 now. So we do have a race on with the front 4. And within a heartbeat, look, the front 3 are just starting to get a bit of air from those 4. And there's a bit of movement in the 4 behind. So we've got a couple of races that we'll try and focus on within our race here, in our heat. The front 3 are as they were. It's Archie Elliott, Don de Graaf and Oliver Hutchins out front. But then we've got 4 chasing. And those 4, as they come across the line, is big move for Samuel Cook, Jason Gardner. Paul Horton seems to have lost out a little bit there. He's gone backwards, and Ben Hicks in 7th. So the front 3 just pulling away from the 4. Then there's the 37 car, Billy Clark, who's just on his own a little bit. Got nobody directly in front or behind. So no one there to chase or defend against at the moment for him. But that's not the case out front for these 3. Archie Elliott can't pull away. Don de Graaf and Oliver Hutchins right on his back wheel. And then that chasing pack, Samuel Cook, Jason Gardner and Paul Horton, they've got their own race going on. And then Billy Clark and Gary Cox look like they do as well. Now we've got a few things going on here. They're going to cross the line with 17 seconds to go. So we are going to get this lap and then receive the last lap board. So the guys are looking at 2 laps to go here if they want to try and change their position in any way. Now's the time, make the move. We'll just keep tabs on those front 3. Archie Elliott there, still out front. He's in control of this heat, as he has been for the day so far. Don de Graaf is in 2nd, but Oliver Hutchins not that far behind. And then, like I say, those 3s, they go through, it's at the top there, they come round into Climate, then they've only got the right and the left. So they've got the right-hander here, then the left-hander. So they're chasing 4, 5 and 6 positions. That's a race, Jason, Samuel and Ben. But it is Elliott with the win. Archie, sorry, Elliott with the win. Don de Graaf 2nd, Oliver Hutchins. Oh no, we've got the last lap board out now. So we've got 1 more to go. So there is that additional lap. I thought that was going to be it, but it's not. So those front 3, Archie Elliott, Don de Graaf and Oliver Hutchins. Archie's got to defend it from Don and Oliver. Oh, Don is on that back wheel. Archie just leaning in for a bit more speed, coming up the hill through the bus stop. He'll carry that speed up into midgets. So now, as we were before, they've got the right-hander through Climate, then they've got the left-hander into Tollies. I think Archie Elliott's got this in the bag. I think they'll all just probably stick here and not twist. And the same with Samuel Cook, Ben Hicks and Jason in 4th, 5th and 6th. Yeah, indeed, that's the case. Good race from the front 3. They pulled away from the second 3, who had their own little battle. And then came the 16, Billy Clark, then Carl Churchill, Gary Cox, made out the top 10. Daniel Hammer, Colin Davis, Sophie Jeffrey, Scott Collins, Chris Abraham, Kieran Thompson. Seaman Traynor just seemed to go up a place there at the end as well, which was good. The 73 of Kieran Thompson, unfortunately, came off on that last lap as well, I think. He's just trying to get his car off the track now. Well, I'll tell you what it does do is it gives another win, I think. There was a very clean race, not much to shout about within there. There's the 24. So that's Matt Angus. He just took to the grass at some point. It's just a little bit of replay, a few things to check back on. Always tight, you can see coming off the back there, always tight going through, especially for the first time, Hainsley, when everyone's come off that grid. You're all basically racing for the same piece of track. That's what you're doing. That's what you're aiming for. So yeah, it has been drying out. We had a little bit of rain on the window, but that seems again to have moved away. So the rain is just going forward and back here. Just keeping the drivers and their teams on their toes. So we've got that confirmed result now. It is Archie Elliott. There was anything in that race at all. No contact, no penalties, I don't think. Very clean race from the 177s. So we will now move on to the seniors for their 3rd and final heat. So ignore that for a minute on there. We're going to got the 177 Rotaxes and Masters. That is our next race, which is terrific. That's what we are going to see on track. So again, mixed tyres. Who is going to have made the right choice? We shall soon see. So quickly, let's read through our list of 10-minute session. We've got 10-minute final. We've got here Archie Elliott, Oliver Hutchins, Don de Graaf, Daniel Hammer, Cole Churchill, Colin Davis, Samuel Cook, Paul Horton, Ben Hicks, Jason Gardner, Dennis Trisiak, Sophie Jeffrey, Patrick Williams-Raha, Neil Hemming, Scott Collins, Gary Cox, Kieran Thompson, Billy Clark, Matt Angus and Simon Tringnall. I hope I'm saying that right, Simon, there at the bottom. I'll make sure I dig you out at the next race and ask you if I'm saying your name right. So they are our runners for this race. They will just do a half lap and then come back in. 10 minutes the final, so slightly extended compared to the heats. So let's see if we can get a clean getaway. First time of asking. Away we go. It was a clean start as we race in to Haynes Loop. Looks like 54 of Archie Elliott has made a great start. He's held on to that lead. Looks like Oliver Hutchins has got himself up in the mix early on. Oh, a bit of left to right on the track there, but everyone holds it and everyone gets through. But we have had a bit of a change. Something has happened down in Winger's Dip, I think. So on screen we are watching the front pack, but I think something did happen down behind me. And we'll see when the guys come around for the first time as to what that was. So they're coming, they've been through the midgets, they've been through Climate, they're coming down into Tollies. And a move there from the 54 of Archie Elliott to get himself back into the lead from the 29 of Oliver Hutchins. Then we've got Samuel Cook, Ben Hicks, Carl Churchill, Don de Graaf, who's lost out early on in this race, Jason Gardner, Colin Davis, Paul Horton and Gary Cox. They make up our top 10 as the guys race down again into the Winger's Dip. Take that right-hander to come back up the hill. The rain has stopped, there's nothing on the window at the moment, so hopefully the track is drying out with each lap for these guys. And again, depending on what tyre choice, depends on whether it's going to be a successful failure. So they're up through the bus stop, up into midgets where they'll go into that right-hander. Front two have just pulled away from the four behind. And there is a little bit of a gap there now from the front two, Archie Elliott and Oliver Hutchins. Archie Elliott's been superb today, as has Oliver. They're out front. Third place currently as we come through is the 84 of Ben Hicks moving up from Carl Churchill, Don de Graaf, Samuel Cook, Jason Gardner, Colin Davis, Paul Horton and Gary Cox. They make out the top 10 and move now into the second kind of lap of this race. But Archie Elliott and Oliver Hutchins, they've just started to pull away a little bit front of the pack. And there's a gap as they come up through the bus stop. You can see that gap, probably a second and a half I would say, to third place driver, and then again there's about another gap into fourth and fifth. So we're just getting a little bit strung out at the front. We potentially try and have a look down the order to some of the other races that are going on within the race, but the front is going to be interesting. Archie Elliott still holding off for Oliver Hutchins at the front, and it is Ben Hicks in third from Don de Graaf, who's moved up into fourth over Carl Churchill, Colin Davis, Paul Horton. So a bit of movement at the front. But it is Archie Elliott from Oliver Hutchins, Ben Hicks. That's the top three at the moment. As the track is drying out and the rain has stopped, so they can actually go for a race in this one. It's the supercar guys that have missed out on this, unfortunately. For everybody else, it looks like we might well be okay. So we've got 7 and a bit minutes left of this race. We've got a front two that have pulled away. They've got a gap over third, fourth place. And fifth, and then there's a further gap back, but it is Archie Elliott over Oliver Hutchins and Ben Hicks at the moment, with Don de Graaf in fourth, and then we've got that little bit of a gap, Carl Churchill, Colin Davis, Paul Horton are in a nice little battle, the three of them, and again some nice racing between the 95 and 22. Patrick Williams-Raha and Scott Collins having a bit of a battle as they came over the start finish line. Got to go back down into Winger's Dip and then up that hill through the bus stop into midgets. You've got to get that right. Middle of the track really as they come through midgets, a lot of the guys. They carry all that speed down through Climate. And Archie Elliott just starting to put a bit of air, a bit of distance between himself and Oliver Hutchins behind. But they are the front two. Third and fourth are still Ben Hicks and Don de Graaf, with Carl Churchill, Colin Davis, Paul Horton, Gary Cox, and then Jason Gardner and Samuel Cook. They make up that top 10. again, as we go back down the field, there is still some movement. Neil Hemming moving up, Patrick Williams-Raha with a bit of movement down in the lower end of the field. Still some racing and positions to be gone. Someone made their way into the pit. Someone's obviously got an issue. They've gone into the pit, so we've lost somebody. We'll see who that is as the guys come back around. Right, let's concentrate back on track. That's there. Back on track. That's the 22. That's Scott Collins. Bounce over the bus stop. Any change out front. Still Archie Elliott from Oliver Hutchins. Ben Hicks. On the graph here, we're just looking at the battle that's going on a little bit further down the field as they come now over the start-finish line. I think Archie Elliott is going to start just pulling away a little bit at the front, yeah. Just keeping an eye on the guys. So right at the back of the field, just crossing the start-finish line now is the 73 of Kieran Thompson. But let's go back to the front of the grid as they come over the start-finish line. Archie Elliott and Oliver Hutchins, they are close. Those front two, then there's a little bit of a gap to Ben Hicks and then a little bit of a gap back to Don de Graaf. That's your front four with Carl Churchill in fifth. That is your front five. The front two are close enough that we could get some race out of this. Out the front, as we look back down the field, there are some close battles. As we go back down the order, the 90 and the 91, Sophie, Jeffrey and Tim Trenor, they're having a good go at each other. A little bit further down the field. And what's going to happen probably within the next lap is the front two of Archie and Oliver. They are going to catch up with our back marker, which is Kieran Thompson. And pretty much on his back wheel. He's got the blue flag to indicate that the front runners are coming through. So foot off the gas, get out of the way. They haven't done as yet as they go down into Winges. Blue flag has been noticed. There's a nice battle coming through down into Tollies now. It's the 12 and 91. Jason Gardner. I think Sophie's in there as well. Yeah, Sophie there as well. Simon Trenor. So just keeping an eye. Pretty spread out. Somebody's gone off up the top in midgets at the moment. It's not giving us a flag. But we've had a change of leader while we've been watching some of the other karts on track. We have now got a leader of Oliver Hutchins and now Archie Elliott, so maybe we should flick and keep an eye on these front three. Ben Hicks is in the mix as well. Don de Graaf in fourth. That should be our focus now. Here we go, front three. So Archie Elliott has had that first place pinched from him at the bottom end of the course as they came up through the bus stop. So it is Oliver Hutchins from Archie Elliott trying to get as much speed up through the bus stop. Bit of curb as they go up. Ben Hicks is now on the back of Archie Elliott and Oliver Hutchins. We've got a race out front three. Bit of movement. I think Archie Elliott's gone back to third. Will he repay the favour? It is Oliver Hutchins in front. And it looks like Ben Hicks has made a move up into second place ahead of Archie Elliott. So there is movement in that front three. And Don de Graaf, he's going to be enjoying this because these guys are battling with each other and ultimately slowing each other down, which will give him an opportunity just to reel them in. He's at a second and a half behind, but he's got enough time and enough laps to potentially reel them in. So the front three, no sign of them working together. It's head down, fast as they can. What can they get out of this, those front three? We are going to get a winner from the front four, I would say. I'm going to give Don de Graaf a shout and say he's within touching distance of the front three. So as they come through Climate, they'll come round into the left-hander of Tollies, back underneath our commentary booth, start and finish line. It still is Oliver Hutchins from Ben Hicks and Archie Elliott. Great race from those three. Don de Graaf just over a minute and a half behind. But the more they battle, the more opportunity he will have to reel them in. Carl Churchill 5th, Paul Horton 6th, Colin Davis 7th, Gary Cox, Neil Hemming and Patrick Williams-Raha. That's your top 10, but the front three is the key at the moment because they are close enough. We've got a really good race on here as they come up through the bus stop again. Still Oliver over Ben and Archie, but those three, there's nothing in it. De Graaf not far behind either. I'm just watching them go out the window, come round midgets, down into Climate. Tight left-hander, just reeling him in a little bit there, Ben, just gained a tiny bit. Blue flag for the back marker as the front three are coming through. Donovan exactly a second and a half behind. Didn't get through that back marker as well. Right, he's going to have to do that down through Winger's Dip. There's our front three, we've got a race on, a minute and a half plus the lap to go. Out front, Oliver Hutchins, 84 kart of Ben Hicks in second with Archie Elliott in third. Don de Graaf not that far behind in fourth. as they go up again through the bus stop, just having a look up the inside. And was there contact? There was definitely the curb. Definitely going to change hands here. Archie Elliott, he's going to benefit and move back up into second. So all change. 29 of Oliver Hutchins out front. Archie Elliott back into second. Ben Hicks in third. And just a little gap now created between third and second. And that has given Don de Graaf just the sight of a podium. With 45 seconds plus the lap to go. Let's keep an eye as they come up through. That's your leader. Head down. Oliver Hutchins through that bus stop. Archie Elliott just reels him in a tiny bit. And I tell you, Don de Graaf is now on the back wheel of Ben Hicks. So we've got 2 races developing. I think we're probably going to get 2 laps left out of this, which is great. So 2 laps to go. The front 2, they've now stolen away from third and fourth. So we're going to get 2 laps. Here we go. 2 laps to go. There's a battle for first and there's a battle for third. Oliver Hutchins and Archie Elliott out front. They're the ones on screen at the moment. Just in behind them, coming into shot now, you can see Ben Hicks and Don de Graaf. That is a battle in itself. Try and just scan over both of those battles as we come round. We've still got 2 laps to go. As they come up, nothing there. Look, you can throw a blanket over those 2 guys. The 29 of Oliver Hutchins, the 54 of Archie Elliott. Third place is Ben Hicks with Don de Graaf close by in fourth. Some blue flags coming out just to warn that the front runners aren't coming. That's going to be our front 4. In what order, I don't know. So this will be a last lap board. 1 lap to go. Winner takes all in this first 177 Rotax Masters final. Who's it going to be? Oliver Hutchins, Archie Elliott. They're the 2 out front. At some point now, Archie has got to go for it. He's got to make a move. He's got to find that gap. Really look up the inside, going through Winger's dip. No, holds it there. Can he get the speed up through the bus stop as they race up to midgets? That's your front 2, and Don de Graaf is all over the back of Ben Hicks in third as well. I'll just keep an eye on that one, even though we're focused on the front 2. It still is the 29 of Oliver Hutchins from the 54 of Archie Elliott. Great race this has been. They've got 2 corners and a back marker to contend with. Is Oliver Hutchins done enough to hold on? He's driven a really nice line. Yes, he takes the win. And in third place is Ben Hicks, just over Don de Graaf. Excellent race from them front 4. And let's just reel everybody else in. Well done, Carl Churchill in 5th place from Paul Horton in 6th. Gary Cox in 7th. Colin Davis has taken 8th place from Neil Hemming in 9th. Matt Angus 10th. Scott Collins, Simon Trenor. These guys will start coming over the start-finish line now. There's Neil Hemming's flag. Matt Angus, Scott Collins. We've got a few. We've lost somebody up at midgets. That was from earlier on, I think. That's a shame. '91 across the line of Simon Trenor. Again, I hope I've said that right, Simon, all day. Please correct me for the next stream. 73 over the line of Kieran Thompson. So a great final from the 177 Rotax Masters. Really enjoyable. Oliver Hutchins took the win under pressure for the entire last 3 or 4 laps once he got ahead of Archie Elliott. Ben Hicks was in the mix until that battle just knocked him back to third, but he held Don de Graaf off for that bronze medal, for that 3rd place on the podium. But thank you to all those drivers for giving us a terrific race today, terrific heats and a great final. A lot there to digest on the replays. Let's see how quick Andy's fingers were. He'll have picked most of it up. He's got a wry smile on his face. So we can see there Archie Elliott was out front. He led from the front, but just couldn't get away. They were on his tail the whole race, really close. Some terrific racing. And again, just pleased that the weather, really tough for the Superkart boys that were out before them, but nice move there up the inside from Archie Elliott, and again a nice move there from the 15 kart Don de Graaf as he came up the inside of the 16 and was having a look as well there.